You were the NCA. So we have the budget plan from our finance minister, and he says, Sally, we owe a lot of people a lot of money. The plan is to stabilise government debt at a touch under 90% of GDP by 2025, 2026. At the same time, the minister is adamant he has not presented an austerity budget, citing plans to increase grants, hold off on any tax income hikes, and pay for the COVID-19 vaccines. But is it enough to avoid the much talked about fiscal cliff? Now, I'm joined by Professor Jannie Rossouw, interim head at Wits Business School. Professor, thanks very much indeed for talking to us. So, yeah, that situation where your social obligations just completely outstrips all the revenue you've collected, are we less likely to get to that cliff this afternoon than we were, let's say, 2 months ago at the October budget?
Good afternoon, and good afternoon to the viewers. Yes, indeed, we are in a better position based on this budget, on condition that the budget figures do realise. The big important element in this case is the fact that there is practically no growth in the budget in civil service remuneration. My calculations show that there's only provision for the annual notch increases over the next 3 years. And if we can make that work out as budgeted, we will avert the fiscal cliff.
But that really is a key question, isn't it, Professor? Because it doesn't seem like Treasury wants to come out and say, indeed, we're winning this case. They are saying that they're winning with talks in the background. And my question was, you know, are these numbers not all that credible if you haven't established as yet that you're winning the war on that public wage increase?
Well, if you do not win the war on the public wage increase, something else will have to give, and that will be employment numbers in the civil service. You will have to have a moratorium on new appointments in the civil service if you do not win the debate on the wage increase in order to be able to stay within the overall budget allocation.
The other big hope that Tito Mboweni is pinning our debt stabilisation on is being able to collect the right amount of taxes, which depends on our tax base not reducing. In other words, SARS being able to collect what they are hoping. I'm just wondering, what is your assessment of how stable our tax base is? Because we are hearing reports. There was a survey, for example, yesterday by FirstRand, I think showing that at least 1 in 5 house sales, over 2.5 million, are due to people immigrating. So is our tax base too much to bargain on?
Well, I've looked at the figures. In 2019, we had 544,000 taxpayers in South Africa, individual taxpayers earning more than 750,000 rands taxable income. In the budget review published today, this number has dropped from 544,000 to 534,000. So the tax base in terms of call them wealthy or higher earning taxpayers is definitely under pressure. And we must remember that this group of taxpayers earning more than 750,000 rands per annum taxable income, just over 500,000 of them, contribute more than 50% of personal income tax and more than 20% of total tax revenue of this government. And clearly that group is being squeezed, under pressure, not growing. To the contrary, the number declined over the past 2 years. So your observation is spot on.
Concerns about, obviously, corruption, the minister addressing that, saying that money is being clawed back. We've got our State Capture Commission underway at the moment, and let's hope no more money is squandered, because we simply don't have a cent to spare. But also at the same time, we have ailing state-owned enterprises. Apart from a mention of the Land Bank and some questions after about SAA, where he says there is nothing in this year's budget for SAA. Is there a risk that our ailing SOEs are going to further destabilise this plan?
Yes, indeed, ailing SOEs can destabilise this plan. I've said 6 years ago that the government should simply give SAA away. It will not fly. If you had listened to me 6 years ago, we would probably have saved somewhere between 20 and 30 billion rands, perhaps as much as 50 billion rands. we need to get rid of these SOEs that do not perform, like the NEL, like Alex Core, like SA Express. These become vanity projects of ANC politicians, and we, as taxpayers of South Africa, can no longer afford the vanity projects of our ANC members of parliament.
Thank you so much for chatting to us this afternoon, Professor Jannie Rossouw, interim head at Wits Business School.